everybody. My name is Tess Cohen, and I am thrilled to be here with you all today to share some best practices around virtual networking. And I am a proud Connecticut College alum, graduated in 2007 with a degree. I was a double major in psychology and Hispanic studies. So a little bit about me. Like I said, went to Cohen, did the Peace Corps right after college. So spent 2 years living in very rural, teeny tiny town in Costa Rica and did a lot of community development work there. And then after Peace Corps, moved to New York City, which is where I've lived for the last 9 years, worked at several different nonprofits. I obtained my master's in public administration, which is basically like an MBA for the public service sector from NYU. And then spent the last 5 years working in corporate philanthropy for Gap Inc., the clothing company. So after 9 years in New York, I recently made the move earlier this year to Denver, Colorado. So this is where my networking skills kind of went into overdrive, and I've learned a lot over the last couple months, and I'm excited to share it with you all today. So a couple fun facts. After I left Gap last year, after the 5 years, I biked 3,125 miles cross country from San Diego to St. Augustine, Florida with Bike the US for MS. So that was quite the wild ride. And since I got here to Denver, I have connected and met with 124 people. Just did the fact checking right before here to make sure I had the latest info. So 124 people in 4 months. So today I'm going to teach you how you can do that in your job search. So first, a couple of networking myths that I hope to dispel over the course of this time. So number one is this idea that networking is icky. I just don't think it is. I think it's a little bit of a reframe to make sure that you're really thinking about it as a kind of give and take, which also speaks to this networking being one-sided. And again, we'll talk about that more as we go here. Another is that people don't have time. I think that people inherently, first of all, love to talk about themselves and are always happy to take 15, 30 minutes to have a conversation. So I just think that just simply is not the case. And then another is that networking is for extroverts. And I think there is a sense of, right, going to a big conference or going to a networking event that, yes, perhaps that does work a little bit better for somebody who is extroverted. However, I would also then advocate that for during these COVID-19 times, that actually it kind of works a little bit better for the introverts and all of us, where you are doing, it's typically tends to be one-on-one. So we have that in our favor. So first things first, one recommendation that I would have as you're embarking on your job search, so even before you're diving into the networking, is to create a kind of dream job description. So you're taking existing jobs that are out there, so you know that there is market, the market is looking for these skills, and you kind of create your own dream job so that when you are having these networking conversations, you are able to share that. And I cannot tell you how many people have asked me, what would your dream job be? And then I instantly have an answer because I've done this process. So the first thing is to identify 5 to 10 dream job descriptions, then copy and paste individual bullet points that are exactly the work that you want to be doing. And I think sometimes there can be a disconnect between what we might be good at and then what you actually like to do. So again, you're really doing the things that you enjoy, that bring you joy, that give you energy. You copy and paste those bullet points, about 20 or so. Then you can categorize them into different bullets. So for me, there's a lot around event planning. There's another piece around partnership. So whatever kind of high level categorization makes sense for you is helpful, because again, that will kind of help to guide some of those conversations. And then from there, you have your dream job that you can share with anybody who's interested. So to dig into the networking piece, first things first is to really identify all of your contacts that you have. And I really encourage you to think outside the box here. So, certainly folks that you went to school with, so that especially if you're a recent college grad, that could be high school students, certainly your undergrad folks, if you have been to grad school, Then thinking about different family and family friends and friends, and then any other networks that you're a part of. So, for example, for myself, I did the Peace Corps, so that's a huge network. I also did a fellowship called Education Pioneers. So, again, just thinking outside the box can really help you to say, what is your network? So, when I went through this practice, I had over 100 people that came onto my list that were then became my kind of distro list. So, on Google Docs, I created a document that had everybody's name, email, category. So whether friend, family friend, a colleague from different jobs, somebody from school, and then what their location was. So again, this has just kind of been a great thing to have that you can always continue to add, and you can update people when you get a job. It's just nice to have everything all in one place. And from here, there is some time that needs to go into developing a series of templates. But the nice thing about this is that once you've done it once, and now I just have it on the notes section of my computer that I copy and paste. And once you kind of get things rolling, it makes it super easy. So there's one initial email that you'd send out to that distro list that we just talked about. And again, depending on your situation. So if you're a recent college grad, you could be letting them know the news, and then sharing what you're looking for in your next step. So again, whatever kind of makes sense for you. If you're have unfortunately lost your job due to COVID, it could be an update there and then sharing what you're looking for. So whatever makes sense for you would be that initial email. Then I would encourage you to shorten that and do just a little social media post. And I was shocked. I actually rejoined Facebook when I moved to Colorado, and that post on Facebook garnered a tremendous amount of connections, as did LinkedIn and Instagram. So I'm not on any of the other ones. I don't really use Twitter, but whatever you use, wherever your people are, reach out to them, let them know that you're looking to make connections. And then these networking emails are critical. So one kind of initial connection email to say like, hey, this is who I am, really excited to connect when you're connecting to somebody new, right? So when your family, friends, former colleagues connect you to someone, this is your initial response. Hi, I'm Tess, worked in corporate philanthropy and nonprofits for the last 9 years, just moved to Denver, looking to connect with like-minded people, would love 30 minutes of your time to learn more about your work and any insights or recommendations you may have for me. So that's one. A follow-up email, which we'll talk more about follow-up in a moment, but following up just to, hey, haven't heard from someone in a week? Hi, Tess, just checking in, seeing if you might have some time this week. Then a thank you email is critical. So thanking them for their time. And again, I have like a whole bunch of different little lines that I will add, subtract, depending on how the conversation went. But that can also be a good reminder to then say, thanks so much for offering to connect me to so-and-so. Here's a e-introduction connection template, the last item here, to make it super easy. So I cannot tell you, when you're networking and this is your job to find your next job, the concept of making things as easy as possible for people is critical. So when you make it as easy as possible, you can then kind of really increase your chances of making sure that they actually follow through on connecting you to that person in their network. And then you just continue to expand from there. So again, these are ever evolving, but great to have at the outset. So you start your outreach, you email your distro list, you post on social media, and then you let the connecting begin. So again, here you can see my little short LinkedIn message that I cannot even tell you, like so many people came out of the woodworks, people I met one time who were super eager to connect me to their network and their friends and family in Denver. So it was exciting. However, all of that can get a little bit overwhelming. So the keeping track is critical. I use a platform called Trello, which I would highly recommend. So this gives the opportunity that you can then keep track. So if someone said, I'm going to connect you to so-and-so, I put them in here. So that way I know. And then if they haven't made the connection a week later, I will then follow up. Once I'm connected, I'll send the note to say, would love to connect. Let me know sometimes. If I don't hear from them, I will then follow up a week later, and then the meeting will be scheduled. So It is no joke a full-time job to keep track of all this stuff. And Trello for me has been really critical to enable me to do so. And then I mentioned this before, but it bears repeating. So follow up and follow up again. So this woman here, who shall remain last name nameless, but I emailed her, I want to say maybe 4 times in the course of like a month and a half. And then it worked. And she wrote back and said, appreciated the persistence. And I cannot tell you all how many times I've reached out and then a week later reached back out and they respond in like 5 minutes because people are busy, emails get lost in the fray. And so do not be discouraged. Do not think of it as being annoying. You're being persistent, and that is a positive thing. Most people don't follow up and then they just get discouraged, and that's that. So again, can't recommend highly enough to set alarms for yourselves and reminders so that you're ensuring that you are following up, because that's how you're going to get those informational interviews. A few other little tips. So, at least from my personal experience, I found that messaging people on LinkedIn did not garner as much traction as emailing folks personal work emails. And this link here has a little thing where if you put someone's name and their place of work website, they will come up with the email address. So that's a fun little tip. Though I will say that most of the time, a warm introduction is huge. So hopefully from that initial email that you send out to your network, you will get a lot of responses. And then it's kind of like a revolving thing from there, that at the end of any informational interview, you should always ask for somebody else to connect with. So you should be able to really maintain a steady pipeline of new connections. Another tip that I've garnered along the way is your LinkedIn headline. So if do not have looking for opportunities or things like that, it just is kind of sad. What you really, or what my recommendation would be, is to put what you are good at. So, is that strategic partnerships? Is that marketing? Whatever it is, and look for folks in the field that are doing things you admire. And I think this kind of enables people to think more, like give you a second look and say, oh yeah, I'm looking for somebody who has expertise in X, Y, or Z. And your LinkedIn headline is the very first thing that anybody sees. So if you have it as looking for work now, change that. And there's a lot of great resources if you Google to find some more tips on that. The other last tip is, I'm a huge fan of podcasts, and in the last couple of months, Adam Grant is a professor at the business school at Wharton, University of Pennsylvania School, and he has an incredible podcast that's all about work. I think his tagline is something to the effect of how to make work suck less. So I just think he is full of amazing tips that are all really data driven and based on his conversations with business leaders and different surveys and things that he's done over the years. So strongly recommend giving that a listen. And then that could also potentially be a really great way to find different organizations, find different tips in relationship to the world of work. So that is all for now. I would be more than happy to answer any questions that folks have. So this is my email right here, tesandra.cohen@gmail.com. And I also have recently started publishing a series of articles I'm calling Tessa's Toolkit for Virtual Teams. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, Tesandra Cohen on LinkedIn, then you can find that. And I would love for you to follow along, and hopefully you can get some great tips for once you are working virtually on a team in these crazy coronavirus times, that hopefully they are helpful to you. So hope this was helpful today. It was my pleasure to connect with some fellow Camels, and look forward to hearing from you all, and wish you the best of luck in your virtual networking.